What happens when one of the most respected journalists in television sits down with royalty, only to watch the entire interview collapse into chaos? In just 34 seconds, a single dismissive comment would spark an argument so explosive that security would have to step in. This is the story of how Meghan Markle got kicked off 60 Minutes. Anderson Cooper has built his career on staying calm under pressure. For decades, he has interviewed presidents, dictators, and celebrities without ever losing his composure. He asks the tough questions, but he does it with respect. He listens. He gives his guests space to tell their story. That's what makes him one of the best in the business. So when Meghan Markle agreed to sit down with him for 60 minutes, everyone expected a fascinating conversation. And what they got instead was something nobody saw coming. The interview started normally enough. Anderson welcomed Meghan to the show, thanking her for taking the time to speak with him. She smiled, settled into her chair, and the cameras rolled. The first few questions were softballs. Anderson asked her about her recent projects, her life in California, how she was adjusting to everything. Meghan answered with practiced ease, speaking about finding peace and building a new life for herself and her family. She talked about the importance of authenticity and staying true to yourself no matter what anyone else thinks. Anderson nodded along, taking notes, waiting for the right moment to dig deeper. Because that's what good journalists do. They let you get comfortable before they ask the questions that matter. And Anderson had plenty of those questions ready to go. "You've spoken a lot about your truth," Anderson said, leaning forward slightly. "But some people have questioned whether certain claims you've made publicly align with documented facts. How do you respond to those who say there are inconsistencies in your story?" The temperature in the room shifted immediately. Meghan's smile tightened. She sat up straighter in her chair. "Well, Anderson, I think what you're really asking is whether you believe me or not," she said, her voice cool. "And I find it interesting that you would even question my truth." "I'm not questioning your truth," Anderson replied calmly. "I'm asking how you respond to critics who have pointed out specific discrepancies. It's a fair question, and one that I think our viewers would want answered." Meghan laughed, but there was no warmth in it. "Critics," she repeated. "You mean the same media that has been trying to destroy me since day one? The same people who have never wanted to hear my side of things? Those critics?" "I mean anyone who has looked at the public record and found inconsistencies," Anderson said, keeping his tone even. "This isn't about the media attacking you. This is about facts." "Facts," Meghan said, and now there was an edge to her voice. "Anderson, my lived experience is a fact. What I went through is a fact. Just because some people don't want to believe it doesn't make it any less true." Anderson paused, choosing his words carefully. "I understand that your experience is valid to you. But when you make public statements that contradict documented evidence, that's not about belief. That's about accuracy. Can you see why people might have questions?" "What I see," Meghan said, her voice rising slightly, "is another journalist trying to trap me, trying to make me look like a liar on national television. Is that what this is?" "That's not what this is at all," Anderson said firmly. "This is me doing my job. I ask tough questions of everyone who sits in that chair. Presidents, world leaders, celebrities, everyone. This isn't personal." "It feels pretty personal," Meghan shot back. "You're sitting here implying that I'm not telling the truth." "I'm asking you to address inconsistencies," Anderson clarified. "That's not the same thing." Meghan crossed her arms. "You know what, Anderson? I came here thinking you were different. I thought you would actually listen, but you're just like all the rest of them." The studio was silent. The crew behind the cameras didn't move. This was already going off the rails, and everyone could feel it. Anderson took a breath. "Meghan, I am listening. But listening doesn't mean I can't ask follow-up questions. That's literally what an interview is." "An interview is supposed to be a conversation," Meghan said, "not an interrogation." I agree, Anderson said. So let's have a conversation. Let's talk about the specifics. You said in a previous interview that a certain event happened at a certain time, but records show that couldn't have been possible because you weren't even in the country that day. Can you clarify what happened? Meghan's jaw tightened. I don't need to clarify anything. I know what happened to me. I'm sure you do, Anderson said gently, but can you help us understand the timeline? Because the dates don't match up. Maybe your dates are wrong, Meghan said sharply. They're public records, Anderson replied. Immigration stamps, flight manifests, official schedules. These are verifiable facts. So you're calling me a liar, Meghan said flatly. I'm asking you to help clarify a discrepancy, Anderson said again, his patience starting to show cracks. That's not calling you a liar. That's journalism. Meghan stood up abruptly. You know what? I don't have to sit here and be disrespected like this. Anderson remained seated, keeping his voice calm. Nobody is disrespecting you. I'm asking the same questions I would ask anyone. No, you're not, Meghan said, pointing at him. You're treating me like I'm some kind of criminal, like I'm on trial. Meghan, please sit down, Anderson said. We can get through this. Get through what? Meghan demanded. Your attempt to humiliate me? To make me look bad in front of millions of people? That's not what I'm trying to do, Anderson said, and now there was frustration in his voice. I'm trying to have an honest conversation, but you're not answering the questions. Because the questions are insulting, Meghan exclaimed. You're basically saying everything I've been through doesn't matter, because some paperwork doesn't line up perfectly. Do you know how that feels? I'm not saying your experience doesn't matter, Anderson said firmly. I'm saying that facts matter too. And when there's a contradiction between what you've said publicly and what the evidence shows, people have a right to ask about it. Meghan shook her head. This is exactly why people don't trust the media. You're more interested in gotcha moments than actually hearing someone's story. That's not fair, Anderson said. I've given you plenty of time to tell your story, but part of telling your story is being willing to address the parts that don't add up. Nothing doesn't add up, Meghan said, her voice getting louder. Just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it didn't happen. Then help me understand, Anderson said. That's all I'm asking. I don't owe you anything, Meghan snapped. I don't owe you explanations. I don't owe you answers. I came here as a courtesy, and this is how you treat me? Anderson leaned back in his chair. Meghan, every guest on this show gets asked tough questions. That's not disrespectful treatment. That's standard practice. Standard practice, Meghan repeated mockingly. Right. Tell me, Anderson, when was the last time you grilled someone like this? When was the last time you demanded someone prove their pain to you? I'm not asking you to prove your pain, Anderson said. I'm asking you to explain a factual discrepancy. Same thing, Meghan said. It's really not, Anderson countered. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Crew members exchanged worried glances. This was unprecedented. Guests got uncomfortable sometimes, sure, but this level of hostility? This was new territory. You know what I think, Meghan said, her voice dripping with disdain. I think you're jealous. I think all of you media people are jealous that I don't need you anymore. That I can tell my story directly to people without going through gatekeepers like you. Anderson's eyebrows went up. Jealous, he said slowly. You think I'm jealous of you? Why else would you be trying so hard to tear me down? Meghan challenged. I'm not trying to tear you down, Anderson said, and now his patience was clearly wearing thin. I'm trying to do my job, which is to ask questions, real questions, not just let you come on here and say whatever you want without any pushback. Pushback, Meghan laughed bitterly. Is that what you call this? Pushback? What would you call it? Anderson asked. An attack, Meghan said simply. A coordinated attack by someone who's part of the system that's been trying to silence me from the beginning. Anderson shook his head. That's not what's happening here. And you know it. Don't tell me what I know. Meghan said sharply. You have no idea what I know. You have no idea what I've been through. You're right, Anderson agreed. I don't know everything you've been through. That's why I'm asking questions. So I can understand. So our viewers can understand. Your viewers don't want to understand, Meghan said. They want to see me fail. They want to see me break down. Well, I'm not going to give them that satisfaction. Nobody wants to see you fail, Anderson said. People just want the truth. I've told the truth, Meghan shouted. Over and over again, I've told the truth. But nobody wants to hear it because it doesn't fit the narrative you've all decided on. What narrative? Anderson asked, his voice rising to match hers. I don't have a narrative. I have questions. Legitimate questions based on evidence that contradicts your public statements. Evidence, Meghan said scornfully. You mean the evidence that's been manipulated by people who want to make me look bad? That evidence? That's a serious accusation, Anderson said. Are you saying official records have been falsified? I'm saying I don't trust anything anymore, Meghan said, and I certainly don't trust you. Anderson stared at her for a long moment. Then why did you agree to this interview? Because I thought you were different, Meghan said. I thought you actually cared about the truth. But you're just another puppet doing what you're told. A puppet, Anderson repeated, his voice dangerously quiet. You think I'm a puppet? What else would you call it? Meghan challenged. You sit here with your fancy desk and your fancy questions, pretending to be objective, but you're just reading from a script they gave you, aren't you? Nobody gave me a script, Anderson said coldly. These are my questions, based on my research, and my job. Your job, Meghan said mockingly. Your job is to destroy people's reputations. That's what this is really about. Anderson stood up now too. My job is to inform the public, to ask the questions that need to be asked, to hold people accountable when they make public claims that don't stand up to scrutiny. That's journalism. That's not journalism, Meghan said. That's character assassination dressed up as journalism. You're being ridiculous, Anderson said, and the words came out sharper than he probably intended. Excuse me? Meghan's eyes widened. Did you just call me ridiculous? Anderson took a breath. I said what you're saying is ridiculous. There's a difference. No, there isn't, Meghan said. You just insulted me on your own show. I didn't insult you, Anderson insisted. I disagreed with your characterization of what's happening here. By calling me ridiculous, Meghan pressed. By calling your argument ridiculous, Anderson clarified. But if you want to take that personally, that's your choice. My choice, Meghan laughed harshly. Everything is my choice, right? I choose to be attacked. I choose to be disrespected. I choose to have my truth questioned at every turn. You chose to make public statements that contradict documented facts, Anderson said bluntly. And when you do that, you open yourself up to questions. That's how this works. That's how it works for me, Meghan shot back. But not for everyone else. Other people get to say whatever they want and nobody checks their facts. That's not true, Anderson said. We fact-check everyone. Really? Meghan challenged. Because I can name 10 people who've said things that were proven false, and you never question them like this. Name them, Anderson said. What? Meghan blinked. Name them, Anderson repeated. Give me specific examples of people I've interviewed who made false statements and I didn't follow up. I'd love to hear this. Meghan's mouth opened and closed. I'm not going to play your games. It's not a game, Anderson said. You made an accusation. Back it up. I don't have to back up anything, Meghan said. I know what I've seen. But you can't give me a single example, Anderson pressed. Because I'm not on trial here, Meghan exploded. Stop trying to cross-examine me. I'm asking you to support your claim, Anderson said. That's not cross-examination. That's basic conversation. This isn't a conversation anymore, Meghan said. This is you trying to make me look stupid. You're doing that yourself, Anderson said quietly. The words hung in the air. Everyone in the studio froze. Meghan's face went white, then red. What did you just say to me? Anderson seemed to realize he'd gone too far, but he didn't back down. I said you're not doing yourself any favors by refusing to answer straightforward questions. That's not what you said, Meghan said, her voice shaking with anger. You said I was making myself look stupid. You insulted me on national television. Meghan, Anderson started, but she cut him off. No, Meghan said forcefully. No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to sit there in your position of power and insult me and then try to walk it back. I'm done. I'm done with this interview. I'm done with you. I'm done with all of this. Meghan, wait, Anderson said, but she was already pulling off her microphone. Don't touch me, Meghan snapped at a crew member who tried to help her with the mic pack. She fumbled with it herself, yanking it free and dropping it on the chair. We can take a break, Anderson offered. Cool off for a minute and... I don't need to cool off, Meghan interrupted. I need to get out of here. Away from you and your condescending questions and your holier-than-thou attitude. I don't have a holier-than-thou attitude, Anderson protested. I'm doing my job. Your job is to bully people? Meghan asked. Your job is to make guests feel small and stupid and worthless? That's your job. My job is to ask questions, Anderson said firmly. Real questions. Hard questions. Questions that matter. If you can't handle that, then maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews. Maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews, Meghan shouted. Maybe you should find another career because you're clearly terrible at this one. The crew gasped audibly. Nobody spoke to Anderson Cooper like that. Ever. Anderson's face remained calm, but there was steel in his voice when he spoke. I think we're done here. You think? Meghan said sarcastically. We were done the minute you decided to ambush me with this hit piece. This wasn't an ambush, Anderson said. You knew coming in that I was going to ask about the inconsistencies. Your people agreed to it. My people, Meghan scoffed. My people don't speak for me. I speak for me. And I'm telling you right now that you're a disgrace to journalism. Anderson's jaw clenched. Get out. What? Meghan said. Get out, Anderson repeated, louder this time. Leave the studio. This interview is over. You're kicking me out? Meghan said incredulously. You're actually kicking me out? Yes, Anderson said flatly. I am. I've tried to be professional. I've tried to be patient. But you've made it clear you're not here to have a real conversation. So we're done. Please leave. Unbelievable, Meghan said, shaking her head. This is absolutely unbelievable. Wait until people hear about this. Wait until the world knows how you treated me. Tell them whatever you want, Anderson said. The footage speaks for itself. The footage, Meghan laughed bitterly. Right. The footage that you'll edit to make yourself look good and me look crazy. That footage? We don't edit interviews to change their meaning, Anderson said. What happened here happened. People will see it. People will see what you want them to see, Meghan countered. Meghan, Anderson said, his voice tired now. Just go. Please. This isn't helping either of us. You're right about that, Meghan agreed. This isn't helping me at all. But it's great for you, isn't it? You get to be the hero who stood up to me, who put me in my place. That'll be great for your ratings. I don't care about ratings right now, Anderson said. I care about getting you out of my studio. Your studio, Meghan said. Of course, your studio. Your show. Your rules. Everyone else is just supposed to bow down and play along. Nobody asked you to bow down, Anderson said through gritted teeth. I asked you to answer questions. That's it. And when I didn't answer them the way you wanted, you kicked me out, Meghan said. Real professional, Anderson. Real classy. Security, Anderson called out, not taking his eyes off Meghan. Please escort Ms. Markle out of the building. 2 security guards appeared from the shadows. They looked uncomfortable, but professional. You're calling security on me? Meghan said, her voice rising to a near scream. Are you kidding me right now? "Ma'am. So please come with us," one of the guards said politely. "Don't ma'am me," Meghan snapped at him. "I'm leaving. You don't need to escort me anywhere. I can find my own way out." "Studio policy," the guard said apologetically. "We need to escort you." Meghan glared at Anderson one more time. "You're going to regret this. You're going to regret ever bringing me on this show." "The only thing I regret," Anderson said quietly, "is not ending this sooner." Meghan opened her mouth to respond, but seemed to think better of it. Instead, she grabbed her purse, held her head high, and walked toward the exit with the security guards on either side of her. Just before she reached the door, she turned back. "By the way, Anderson, that tie makes you look washed out. You should fire your stylist." And with that, she was gone. Anderson stood alone on the set, running a hand through his silver hair. The crew remained silent, unsure what to do or say. Finally, Anderson looked at the camera. "Well," he said, letting out a long breath. That happened. The studio erupted in nervous laughter, the tension finally breaking. Anderson loosened his tie and sat back down in his chair. "Somebody tell me we got all of that." "Every second," the director called out from the control room. Anderson nodded slowly. "Good, because I have a feeling people aren't going to believe it otherwise." He was right about that. When word started spreading about what had happened during the interview, nobody could quite believe it. Anderson Cooper, the unflappable newsman, had kicked a guest off his show. And not just any guest. Meghan Markle, former royalty. You want someone who commanded headlines with a single word. But Anderson had done what he always did. He asked questions. He pushed for answers. He refused to let someone come on his show and say whatever they wanted without backing it up. That's what made him good at his job. That's what made him respected. And that's exactly what he did during those 34 seconds when everything fell apart. In the days that followed, people would debate who was right and who was wrong. They would analyze every word, every gesture, every facial expression. They would take sides and argue on social media and pick apart the entire exchange. But for those who watched it happen in real time, one thing was crystal clear. Anderson Cooper had remained professional throughout. He had asked fair questions. He had given Meghan multiple chances to explain herself. He had kept his composure even when she lost hers. He had done his job exactly the way a journalist should. And when she crossed the line, when she attacked him personally and refused to engage honestly, he did the only thing he could do. He ended it. He drew a boundary. He said, "Enough is enough." That's what happens when someone comes on a respected news program expecting to be given a platform without any accountability. That's what happens when entitlement meets journalism. That's what happens when someone confuses asking questions with launching attacks. The conversation breaks down. The interview falls apart. And the guest has to leave. Anderson Cooper didn't want to kick Meghan Markle off his show. But she left him no choice. She came in defensive. She refused to answer questions. She attacked his integrity. She made accusations she couldn't back up. She insulted him repeatedly. And when he pushed back, she played the victim and stormed out. But the cameras captured everything. The footage told the story. And that story was simple. A respected journalist tried to do his job. A defensive guest refused to let him. And in the end, professionalism won out over theatrics. That's the story of how Meghan Markle got kicked off 60 Minutes. Not because Anderson Cooper wanted drama. Not because he was trying to create a viral moment, but because he respected his audience enough to demand real answers. And when those answers never came, he did what had to be done.